everyone. In this video I'm gonna teach you how you can dockerize your Laravel project. If you have a small business or you wanted to launch your project for something like demo or something else, you can use this approach. It is actually it's a good approach to start small scale projects. However, if your project grows over time and becomes larger, you can consider other methods, I don't know, such as using orchestrations or some other methods for launching projects. And yeah, but it's a good approach for launch your project on your local host. If you want to have a production server uh, for your small scale, actually you can use this approach. It helps you to launch your project easily everywhere that you want, in every server. You just want to install Docker and use these configurations. Okay, let's start. I installed a fresh version of Laravel before for wasting time, and also I created my files, necessary files that I will tell you what are these files. The first, we need a Docker compose file. Used I used another name except the normal and prevalent names and the default name for Docker compose to show you that you can use any other name that you want. Docker compose-dev.yml. And what do we have in this file? In this file, it consists of three parts. Volume part, that's in this project I just have one volume for MySQL that you can define it. Network, that I defined a network. You can define network here, or you can define an external network. It doesn't different, but your compose file, it's better to for your compose file it's better to have one dedicated network. And we have three services. Okay, these three services are necessary for launching our project. One service for our web server that I use Nginx. One service is for launching our Laravel project for PHP and its dependencies, and also MySQL that it's needed for launching our database. I start from MySQL. As you can see, the MySQL is used from a default, actually a predefined image. You can use every version that you want, but it's an optimal one, and I named it MySQL. If you wanted to use any ports except the default port, you can use this configuration. If you as you can see, if you use this command, this type of command, it means that you have to define and create an .env file beside of your Docker compose, because it tries to read this variable from .env file that it's beside of this file. They have to be in the same path. Okay, and if you don't have this variable, environment variable, it uses this port, that it's the default port of MySQL. It's a good approach to separate your environment variable from Docker compose. And the environment variables that we need for MySQL, for launching our MySQL, you need them for your database and volume. That, as you can see, I bind this path inside the container into this volume, and our network, that we use the network, and some health checks for checking the container. Our backend service, that it use a Docker file, you know, that I use that it's used in the same context, and search for this file that we should have uh, like .env beside of Docker Compose. And the default name of Docker file is Docker file with capital D, but as you can see, we can name it everything that we want, and it doesn't matter. As you can see, I used this version of PHP FPM. This for now it's the latest version of PHP, I think, and installed some dependencies such as cron and supervisor, vim, everything that you want you can install in this part. They are so useful for our container. And run composer inside our container, and some other dependencies that do we need for launching our Laravel project. If you need any others, actually dependencies, you can put them here. And for debugging in development servers and development for localhost, it's useful to have xdebug. It's really useful. And Redis, maybe you don't need this part, but it's I always put and install the Redis inside the container, because sometimes we need it, and it helps us many parts. And at the end, the command that we run, that we want to run after launching our container. Okay, and yeah, after building this image, it names its backend. I used so simple name for accessing them better. And volume, it's important that bind current volume, current structure to this path inside the container, and networks, and depends on. For nginx also I used a Docker file. Let me to open them. This part is really straightforward. Volumes also I used this current structure, current folders to this path. 2 ports for container that we bind to the ports on local host. You can use any ports that you want if you use this variable inside this .env file. If you don't use variable, this actually port, it uses the 80 that us to do the default port. And also we used this context docker nginx, and as you can see, I created a directory docker nginx. It uses 2 files, docker file that it's used from a base image alpine nginx, and bind this configuration file to this path, that it's a default path that nginx read and run the setting inside this file. And the working directory is this path. And the nginx, as you can see, and probably you know that some part of nginx configuration file is important. The port uses the default port, and this root is bind to the public folder of our Laravel file. These 2 parts, don't forget, please don't forget these 2 files, because it's important to actually track your application if you face with any problem. And the most important part in this line, as you can see, it uses our PHP and our Laravel container and port 9000. If you name anything except the backend, then you should also modify this part. And yeah, that's it. Everything is fine for us. As you can see, I should run this file. Docker compose. Okay. And the point that I forgot it, if you use any other name except Docker compose, you should determine this file name with -f flag and dash Docker compose. Okay, they launched, and if you show the container to you, our 3 containers are up, yeah, and our application is running. And now we have to install our Laravel dependencies that we defined in composer.json. I wanted to show you a trick that if you don't install composer, you can install your dependencies with composer image. But now I installed before composer on my localhost, and also we can come into our backend container, as you can see, and run composer install. Okay, but there is another way that I wanted to teach you how you can install actually Laravel dependencies or anything else, something like npm packages, if you don't install your composer, or if you don't install the composer or npm your localhost. Let me to show you with the composer. Okay, first I pull composer image. Okay, and Docker, I use this command, Docker run -name composer -rm. We want to remove this container after finishing its job. And okay, -rm -name -it composer -v. If we run this command, it shows the composer version. Yeah, as you can see, it shows us this command. It show you can assume that I don't install the composer locally. Let me to show you the difference. Yeah, they are the same because I updated, but maybe they are two different things, because it uses from this Docker file and Docker image, and it uses from the composer in my localhost. Okay, let me to show you. If I type composer install here, it returns an error to us. It says us that I don't find the composer JSON file in the /app, but it does say As you know that containers are phenomenal, and when you run and launch a container, everything that happens inside the container will destroy uh, after actually uh, destroying the container. So we we have to save and get every changes inside the container and get the changes and bring that changes into our local host. How we should do this? With volumes. No, we should define the volume and say that you can uh, you can give me everything that happens inside you, and if it's the default path inside the container, I defined another path and tell him that please install the dependencies in this path inside container, and then give give them to me in my localhost. Okay, and it's we introduced the volume, but we didn't introduce the working directory. We should define work directory. As you can see, it's started to install the dependencies, and probably we should see the vendor. Yeah, as you can see, we have vendor in our localhost. It's a good example to use Docker images and install the dependencies, or install every package with any languages or when any package managers, and without installing its package manager on your local host, just uses from this benefit, and yeah, that is really clean and really straightforward. Let me to show you another example. I assume that I think I don't have npm in my local host. Yeah, I have npm, but uh, my assumption is I don't have an npm in my local host. I wanted to show you how we can install the npm. I think, for example, node. Let me to install docker for node. Okay, and I wanted to install I don't know, for example, Vue.js or something else with npm packages, and install the package JSON dependencies and have node modules directory. Okay, docker run dash dash rm dash dash name npm dash it dash v pw var www.html, or you can use any other directory dash dash fork directory slash app node latest, I think, or node, and npm install view or bootstrap, for example. As you can see, it started to install, but it throws an error. But I guess that's no. Let me to I'm not a JavaScript developer, but I think command fail npm. Node npm hv. Yeah, npm install. No, it doesn't relate it to the volume. What modules? Maybe it's related to no. Not modules. If we install the packages locally, I think no, it's installed. Sharif. So yeah, we don't have them. It's strange. I don't know this error exactly. Maybe it's related to the JavaScript. It's really unclear. Yeah, it was related to the Node version. I use maybe the latest version of Node and it causes the problem. I don't know why, because I'm not honestly a JavaScript developer, and it was just an example that you can use Docker images for install your dependencies that you need, and it's a good exercise to use it everywhere. Okay, thank you for watching this video, and have a nice night.